What is up? We're barking. It's dark outside. It's Bark After Dark. New time, 8:30. Roos has got Pulp Fiction in his background. I love it. It's great. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just hanging out here, getting into last night in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Been down here with my dad for Thanksgiving and enjoyed that. So good time and one last night of it, and then back up to the hills, man, where I belong. I don't have my sea legs.
Yeah, it's we were off last week. Obviously Thanksgiving travel. Went out to Utah with the family. Did the whole Zion National Park Bryce Canyon deal, and holy smokes, I walked 27 miles, and I'm still hurting a little bit. I really am. I'm still like in a little bit of pain, a little bit of fatigue, but we're here for you tonight. We love you, everybody listening. We got Radi Nabulsi coming on tonight, man. At this point, definitely one of the godfathers of the Georgia beat. Been around a while. He has seen it all, done it all, covered Georgia from a lot of different angles. And I've always said one of the most talented guys that covers Georgia because he can shoot photos just as well as anybody. He can write just as well as anybody. And then he also does the whole multimedia thing extremely well too. So kind of envious of him in that regard because he does his thing in so many different ways. But we'll have him on in just a minute. But before we do that, let's talk about one of our amazing partners, Game Time. All right. I'm sorry if you've heard me talk about Game Time a million times. It's going to be 1,000,001. We love this thing, man. This app is fantastic. It's one of the most easily navigatable apps I've ever seen. I can't believe I got that out of my mouth. It's easy to get around. It's intuitive. I've always said I love the way you actually see yourself in the stadium and get the view from actually inside the stadium, which is amazing. And on top of it all, you were able to see how many seats are in each section, and they specialize in your ability to get tickets up until the last possible second. Go to the gametime.co right now, download the app, use the promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, and you'll save $20 off your first order. Terms apply. I think it has to be $150 to get there, but go check it out. Get you some tickets to that SEC championship game. I hear they're pretty good. Two pretty good teams playing in it, and we cover one of them. So, but we won't be. I don't know if we're going to be talking a whole lot about that tonight. But go get it, gametime.co, and check them out. And let's bring on Radi.
No doubt.
Radi, what's up, dude?
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. I mean, they say keep your friends close, your enemies closer. We're just going to keep you real close tonight. They're going to bring you in real tight.
I really want to be the guy you were talking about, the way you described me there, man.
You are. Don't come here playing humble, okay?
Yeah, that would be the.
Yeah.
That'd be the.
We both worked with you. We both worked with you, Radi, and for some time, and we know what you're capable of. There's no question about it, buddy. You're one of the best, and for a reason.
I don't know that I would call what I did. I don't know that I would call what I did while Radi and I were on the same quote unquote team working. I kind of just said, "Hey, Radi, you got anything for me to do? I'll do it for free." And Radi was like, "Yeah." And then I just disappeared, I think, for like 3 months, and then tried to hop back in when I could. And it was hard times having a full-time job and trying to find time to do. As I learned then how much was involved in what we do and how much it can crop up on you in a heartbeat. Something needs to be done. I need you to be able to do it. Okay, well, these are odd hours, man. So, but I learned a lot in a very short amount of time. That's for sure.
I'm proud of both of you guys. Y'all have gone on and you got your starts here, but you moved on to bigger, better things. You're kicking my ass. I couldn't be prouder.
Oh boy.
Well, hey, we had one of the reasons we had to bring you on was because we had Dean Legge on, and Dean, I mean, one of the best shows we've ever had because Dean had a big pile of money he was playing with the whole time I don't know why, just Dean was propping on us. It was so fun. But he talked about, he was like, we were talking origin stories, and he said, hey, the very first camera I ever bought was from Radi, and kind of explained all that to us. So with that in mind, origin story, man, where did it all start for you?
10th grade in high school.
Yeah.
I realized I was going up against Al Sadler and Brad Creel and guys like that. And I'm like, man, this is hard thing to do. I don't want to be a football player. My dad, well, I mean, I wanted to, but my My dad thought I had a future in it. I'm like, Dad, no. I'm a slow white dude. It's not going to happen. And he grabbed me by my thighs and goes, "You could be a fullback." I'm like, "Baba, there's not." But I realized I wanted to be a journalist and I wanted to write stories and take pictures and such. So I started working for the Rockdale Citizen because I realized I'm like, you guys come over and take pictures of the Beta Club every day or the chess club or the spring musical, the track team. I'm here. I'm doing all this stuff after school. Why not just take the pictures and write the stories and save you a trip? And they said, okay. They loved it. I mean, I worked for nothing. Then came to UGA and started working with the Red and Black and the Pandora, and then got a job at the Georgia Center taking pictures of the teams. They bring in the football team and then the tennis team and the track team. And that's when I started meeting Claude Felton. Everybody knows who he is, And I wrote Claude a letter. And my buddy Dave said, "Write Claude a letter. Let him know that you're available if he ever needs anything." And there's a guy named Jim Gunn, and Jim was coming to shoot the Georgia-Kentucky game for Sports Illustrated, and he needed an assistant. And Claude had been sitting on a letter for 2 years. And he hands it to one of his assistants and says, "Hey, call this guy." And they called me out of the blue, said, "Hey, Jim Gunn's looking for an assistant for the Kentucky game. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." And I worked for him, then worked for Strohmeyer and shot a Super Bowl just because Claude Felton hung on to a letter from some random student that I wrote him in 1991. In 1993, he pulls it out of some Rolodex that he has. And then I was working for UGA and I became the team photographer, started as a student. And then when I graduated, they said, "Come back and be we'll contract with you to be the team photographer." So I did that for years, but it didn't pay anything. Georgia, I mean, they pay stuff now. Back in the day, you didn't get squat. That basically they covered my film expenses, and that was it. I mean, hell, I traveled on my own, but it was worth it. I did it for years, but I also had a job selling cameras at Wolf Camera back in the day because I'm like, you're not making any money working for the athletic association. They're basically just covering your cost and some of your travel stuff. But being part of the team was kind of cool because I got to meet a lot of people, travel. With like Final Fours, went with the basketball team to Chicago, went with the women's team to Minneapolis and San Francisco, covered every NCAA, SEC tournament that came to Athens, did a lot of fun stuff being on the inside. And then when I got on the outside, a lot of that paid off because I'm like, okay, hey, the trainer guys, equipment guys, all the people, groundskeepers, what's going on? Is this guy in the building today? Oh, well, or there'd be a coaching search, and I get a call from a guy who empties the trash cans. He goes, "Hey, I just saw this guy Kirby Smart walking through the building." I'm like, hey, guess what? Kirby Smart is interviewing for the defensive coordinator position. Whatever it was always something, something like that. Those connections you made early on. So my origin story was basically taking pictures, being the team photographer, and writing Claude Felton a letter that he sat on for 2 years to launch my career.
That's such a unique story because I mean, Rob Say hasn't jumped into the team site business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, the Curtis Comptons of the world either. It's not that you don't go from photographer to the team site guy very frequently, or really, I mean, just at all. I feel like photographers, for the most part, just that's what they do, right? Like they take pictures. They don't want to be. I mean, I don't know.
That's all I ever wanted to do. I mean, my dream job, I wanted to be in Sports Illustrated, printed in their thing at some point. And I remember the first one I got in. And I was like, you couldn't talk to me for like 6 months. I'd been published by Sports Illustrated. I was, and I was saving up, for more gear, more equipment. And that was my dream job. But it pays nothing. I mean, all those guys you see on the sideline with $12,000 lenses. I mean, I must have $40,000 worth of camera equipment. You don't get paid that. No matter how good you are, you don't make any money doing it. So it is a labor of love. And I'm like, man, I can find a real job. And then Steve Patterson hired me to work at Rivals, and I was there about 6 weeks. And Steve's like, "Hey, I'm burned out. I need you to take over." I'm like, "I don't know how to run a site." And so boom, I was doing radio, writing stories, taking pictures, doing the whole 9 yards. And there's just none of this. My point is, if I had still had my dream job, I'd be behind the lens. Nobody would know my name. They maybe see the name on the byline. All the stuff I shot for Georgia, they never put my name on it because it belonged to them.
Sure.
So, you see the Veron Haynes photo or the David Pollock photo or, any of the kind of classic images that they run over time. It never says by Radi Nabulsi on there. It's, property of UGA Athletic Association. But again, I didn't mind that. I wasn't doing it for credit. I was happy being behind the lens, going to games, making great pictures. But now I spend my day on TikTok and YouTube and radio and TV. I'm a year of television. I'm not supposed to be on TV. Look at me. This is not a mug for television. So, but it's, everybody, you have to advance. You have to move. And I know you guys get this all the time. People say, hey, how can I do what you do? I'm like, well, what do you do now? They're like, well, I'm a writer. I'm like, or I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
What else do you do?
Right.
Hey, I do a lot of video work. Okay, can you write? Because I need you to go to the North Carolina State Championship. I need you to take pictures of these players. I need you to interview them afterwards. I need to be able to put that video on television, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I need you to be able to write a good story out of it. And then I need you to be able to go on the radio and talk about them. Every kid you saw. Oh, you better be a good analyst too. And I don't get me wrong, went to Grady journalism school, but they didn't teach us a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, we had a kid email us over the summer, and he said something about, hey, I just wanted some advice on how to get into business and kind of what kind of skills are needed. And I said, first thing I told him, I was like, all right, imagine that I just told you how to do something that I need you to do something in an hour, and you have no damn idea how to do it. Like, that's going to happen to you often. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've kind of been like, how do I do this? How do I do it? Like, so much stuff you don't even know where to start. You just have to kind of start pecking away, not even writing. It's just, you talk about like TikTok or some of these short videos, and you're just trying to figure out how to edit a video together. And it's something that I've kind of had to learn on the fly. I'm still not very good at it. So it's wild, man. And it's only going to get wilder. I mean, you never would have thought that you would be on some version of Vines, making your own videos, discussing, these different things and having to put your face. I still can't bring myself to put my face on there. I always do voiceovers. I can't put my face on there.
I hate the way my voice sounds. I hate the way I look. I don't want to see me. I never go back and look at anything I've ever done. But to your point, I mean, and also you got to get stuff when there's a news situation going on. You've got readers asking you questions, and you got to figure out how to get it. You're like, well, saying I don't know the answer is not good enough.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Justin Fields is committing. It's a private ceremony. How are we going to get it? Jake Roos is going to go through the damn woods. I mean, he's going to sneak over a fence. Duck behind an AC unit and break the news. So that, and somebody else rented a helicopter. It's like flying over. I'm like, this is This is a contact sport, man. You got to learn to do stuff. It does. You can never say, I don't know.
I'm glad you didn't have to bail me out of jail that day, Roddy. I was wandering around in that neighborhood. I know that there were probably people. If children had been home, they would have been like, "All right, we got to call the police on this man." That was an interesting one. No question about it. I guess for you though, Roddy, you've bounced around to. I mean, you've done ESPN, you've done Rivals. Like 11 Alive, you do a lot of stuff with them. I mean, you've been involved with this as long, if not longer, than almost anybody on this beat. So I guess, looking back for you, what's been the biggest, was it the Sports Illustrated thing that I guess was maybe the most fulfilling, the most satisfying thing, the coolest thing to see? I mean, when you look back, like over, this 30-year career, what's been the standout moment, if there is one, or even a handful?
I don't know the standout moment. That's tough to put me on the spot like that. It's been a lot of cool things. And the most boring, but to me, the most fundamental thing is I tell my guys this all the time. I'm like, don't forget that you get paid to go to a game. We're going to the SEC championship game this weekend. Most of the staff's going. I actually got a guy that's going to let me come up and watch a game from his suite. Really excited about that. We're going to get paid to go to the game. We're going to get paid to cover. We're going to get paid to take pictures, talk about it. They're going to give us a parking pass. They're going to feed us.
Yeah.
You can never understand how crazy that is. A game that I think the cheapest ticket right now is over like $411 before you add fees into it to just get into the stadium. They've given you guys passes. They've given us passes. They're going to give us a parking pass. They're going to feed us, and if you don't wake up every morning and thank God that is your lot in life, that is your job. You get to talk about Georgia Bulldogs football all day, every day. So what are we doing at 8:47 on a Monday night? We're talking about Georgia Bulldogs football. Come on, I never get over the wonder of that. My dad never understood what it was, until he saw me on television. He's like, "Oh, that's what you do." I'm like, trying to explain to him a website, for a guy who was born in 1940. He just never quite got it. But we saw me on TV. He's like, "Oh, Radi Habibi, I get it now." Great, Dad. Glad you understand it. But it was that's always been the craziest thing. And I guess the most rewarding part is going to a high school, seeing a kid who's good at football. Maybe no one's heard of him before, or maybe everyone has. But then talking to him, getting the story, seeing him blow up, seeing him be successful. He doesn't even have to come to Georgia. Then seeing him in the NFL, then seeing him become a man. Having his own kids. Like you guys covered Justice Haynes. I was there when his dad scored the touchdown. Covered that. Then to cover his son. It's just I've been doing it 30 years, and I never get over the fact that these guys. One of my favorite guys of all time, Alvin Kamara. Didn't come to Georgia. We got close on the recruiting trail. Followed his whole career. Love him. He saw me at the SEC championship and came up and tackled me. I had all my camera gears on. He came up and hugged me. I kind of fell down. I'm like, just the relationships you make with these young men, and then to see them become super successful. And they don't have to be stars. They don't have to go on to not just the NFL guys. The guys that are just hey, I got married. I'm like, great. Hey, look, I just had my first.
What in the world? Look, Kevin Gates.
No, Kevin Gates going on there. The phone goes off.
Kevin Gates popping off over here at Roddy's place.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
he's got one for the plug.
A man of many hats.
He's got one phone for the plug.
Roddy is the plug. He's got two phones.
I literally do have two phones there. So.
No, that's that's a really good point, and that's really something that we don't talk about enough. I don't think in this industry is the idea of like just following those guys, no matter where they end up, is amazing. It's so cool just to see guys go anywhere. To make it out of. I think we've all worked with some guys who have been in tough situations or come from difficult areas, or and then they're able to go up and just kind of elevate their lot in life through football, and it's amazing to see, regardless of whether or not they go to Georgia.
Yeah, that's the greatest part of it. And then you see their kids. Well, I mean, you guys are covering Lawson Lucky. I was there for the covered his dad. It's just wild times. I'm dating myself how old I am, but it's just pretty amazing that that's what we get to do.
Well, and speaking of that, because you have some age on both of us in life and also in the industry, I'm curious because this is one of those questions that everybody gets all the time, and I don't know that you and I have ever had a chance to talk about it. Who's the best player you've ever seen in high school? Who's the most talented player you've seen in high school?
Oh, in high school, Derrick Henry.
I think I've heard that one before.
I never saw him playing. I never saw him. I think
Jake Rowe. I think Hunter Long told you that one time, didn't he, Jake Rowe?
Yeah, Hunter. Yeah, Hunter Long said, "Yeah, we'll leave it at that." That's a funny story about that one, but I don't know if I can be told over the air. It's got a little vulgarity to it, but we've talked about this one multiple times. I don't think I ever saw Derrick Henry in person. Laramie Tunsil's up there. He's definitely the best offensive lineman I ever saw. Saw Champ Bailey play in high school too. That was pretty incredible. 419 yards on 19 carries against my Athens County Rebel. Roos, who was yours?
Mine was Darnell Washington. Seeing Darnell live and in person because he was that big in high school. Like people, it wasn't like he came to Georgia and then became huge. He was huge at 17 and was just smacking kids around. So,
hey guys, I need to run real quick. Can I jump back on in about 5 minutes?
Yeah, no doubt.
I'll hit you back in just a second.
You're good.
All right.
All right. All right, we'll be
Get
back
ready
with
for
Rody.
some. Yeah. Oh, better
Something may
keep
be
our eye.
breaking. Something may be breaking, and we're over here looking like Dumbos talking
Like Jamokes.
Yeah, Jamokes. Yes.
Yeah. To
So
borrow.
listen, while we got a second here, why don't we dive in on our other sponsor while we're at it, Jake?
Okay. Well, listen, I don't know if you've ever heard of Factor. Okay. But Factor meals, man, it takes the stress completely out of meal planning. Factor is a ready-made meal that comes to your door. I got to test these things out. I was blown away. And the holiday season is the perfect time. You might be looking for, you might be looking for a way to meal plan. I know you're looking for nutritious, convenient, tasty meals. You got a lot of jam-packed days going on. You got a lot going on. Well, Factor Meal is the perfect way to tackle all of that. You can have it whipped up fast, breakfast, lunch, dinner, chef prepared, dietitian approved, top-notch stuff. It is tremendous. And you'll save time, you'll eat well, and you'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle in a time of year where it's not easy to stay on track. I know I am off the wagon if I was ever on one to begin with. Just awful during the holiday times. So, listen, you can skip the stress of meal prepping over the holidays. You can skip the stress of meal prepping, period, with Factor meals. And you can also get some special occasion stuff out of this. I tried it out. I ended up with kind of the chef's choice deal. And I'll tell you what, every single thing I had was tremendous. They do a great job of incorporating vegetables that maybe you're not accustomed to eating or not used to eating, but they make them delicious. I mean, I don't eat a lot of leeks or asparagus or anything like that, but they threw it in there. Jeremy Pruitt also not into asparagus apparently. So when you're too busy running around to plan lunch, they got you covered. You need a nutritious meal to kind of keep you going on holiday shopping. They've got you covered. Head on over to factormeals.com/BGI50. That's BGI50 and use promo code BGI50 again for 50% off. That's BGI50 at factormeals.com/BGI50 to get 50% off your first order. Go check it out because it's a high quality product and I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, it really is tremendous. And honestly, you come up with some ideas too. There was something, there was a mushroom dish I got, mushroom pasta deal that I tried to recreate myself. It was nowhere near as good, but I did enjoy it. Here, I think we got Roddy back on with us here. We were just talking about doing some holiday meal planning with Factor.
Roddy, not if you could come back on.
Yeah, I can. Back. All right. All right.
Did he never leave us?
No, I did. I had to put something up on the board there real quick.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So when you get a call, when they call back twice, it's like, oh, okay.
No, that's what
yeah,
saying.
I want to check on something.
We're looking like Jamokes, and you're over here breaking news, man.
Yeah,
we'll see. Well, that's the thing. This job ruins marriages. I mean, and relationships. And I don't mean to go, woe is me. Again, I got the greatest job in the world. I've been doing it 30 years. I've seen heartbreak. I kind of wanted to tweet out the other day. I'm like, hey, all you Auburn fans that, had 4th and 31. Coming from somebody who covered 2nd 26, we understand your pain. We've been there.
Yeah.
I've seen the heartbreak. I've seen the look on Aaron Murray's face and Chris Conley when they come up 5 yards short. And I thought it was very touching today that Cedric Van Pran talking about Nick Chubb coming up to him and saying, thank you for beating those guys. I can sleep now. It's those kind of insider stuff. Hearing about the camaraderie and just the relationships you develop with guys is great, but at the same time, you have to have a partner who's willing to put up with, hey, drop what you're doing. Something just happened. Odd hours. You're never off. You don't have to be at work.
Never off.
You're not off.
Never off.
You're never not there. I'm trying to hang out with a couple buddies. Phone rings twice. Got to stop what I'm doing. No matter how much fun you're having. And again, people give their left arm to do this. And I never want to take that for granted. But if you don't have the right support system, that this career is not for you. So people ask me, hey, what how do I do what you do? I'm like, well, you better hope, you're engaged. You better have a long talk with the missus there. You got a girlfriend, talk to her. You got a boyfriend, talk to him. Let him know that you know he might have had this wonderful plan, you know, romantic thing planned for you, but then something happens and you got to go deal with it. You know, I mean, you guys have covered Thanksgiving Day announcements, Christmas announcements.
I can't think of a holiday that I have not covered a commitment on.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But again, I'm not going to complain about it.
Sure.
But it's just the truth of the matter is that you're never ever off, and it's a good problem to have.
I should say.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you develop rituals. Like I tell Palmer this all the time. Like, hey, I'm gonna bring my backpack and my laptop so nothing breaks. Because if I leave it at home, something's happening. You know, if I leave the laptop at the hotel room, something's fitting to go down. It happens all the time. So
nothing like trying to write a story on the side of the highway on your phone.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember a signing day. You know, usually you think you've got until about 7:30 before stuff starts popping off. And I believe Eric Stokes committed to Georgia on signing day. Maybe it was Amir Speed. It was one of those guys that they took at the last minute. And it happened at like 7:15 as I was on my way into Buttsmere back when we used to go congregate
literally,
there.
7:11.
Yeah. And I just
Paul
pulled right off a 316.
Paul Mahering was there. I remember that day well. Yeah.
I pulled right off a 316 and rode it, dug out of a hole, you know, because all of a sudden the LOIs start rolling in. You get about 3 of those in a row right there around 8 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, I'm just sitting there off 316. Phone's about to die. It happens, man. It happens.
I mean,
and again, it's funny. And once you get used to it, you're used to it. And once, you know, you get into a groove, you're into a groove, definitely not complaining about it, but it's just wacky. It really is wacky. And sometimes I look at my wife's kind of 9 to 5. She teaches. It's not 9 to 5, but I look at her job and I'm just kind of like, I don't think I could do that again. I don't think I could have everything planned out for me ever again.
We're mentally broken in that way. That's the problem. Yeah. We don't know. We're like prisoners. Like we don't know how life on the outside works anymore, you know?
And I mean, you got a great wife that she puts up with that stuff, you know, as do I. My wife and I just celebrated a 30-year anniversary, and I was starting to think about it. I'm like, we've not had it's never been a Norman Rockwell Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that. It's not like, hey, we're both off, let's sit and watch a movie. I mean, I don't have a lot of TV shows that I watch. I don't have a lot of movies I watch. But if we are watching something that you know, we both like, you know, I'm watching it like this. You know, well, you know, back and forth. You know, so that divided attention. Hell, you can't even go to the movies.
Oh,
the number of times I've walked out of a theater like so and so's been arrested. You know.
Yeah, before you walk in, you got to text everybody and be like, "Hey, about to watch a movie." You know, just be on alert.
That group chat.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to see this Star Wars movie, man. I just give me 2.5 hours, and of course, again, that'll make something happen.
So, Roddy, we have questions that we ask everybody at the end of every interview, and one each. And mine's usually the harder one to answer because Roos's is so memorable. You get a chance to plan your own funeral, and somebody gets to, you know, eulogize you. Somebody gets to sing. Somebody gets to perform in some way. Who's sending you off? Who's sending you into the wherever you're going?
Tommy Condon, singer of Irish. Look, okay, I'm Palestinian. You know, I make no bones about it. People, you know, I'm half Palestinian, half American. My father's Palestinian. I'm trying to get adopted by the Irish. I've been thinking about this for years, okay? And it's mainly for when I die, okay? When I die, I want an Irish wake, you know? Okay. I want giant bottles of booze passed around, you know? I'm like, hey, let's go, you know? I mean, I'm ready.
The props.
This
man has the whole handle.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it right, you know? Hunker vodka, by the way, you know, so that's actually part of the Georgia NIL deal. So that's actually a thing. But no, I love the Irish, and I love Irish drinking songs. I could probably sing about 30 different Irish drinking songs at the drop of a hat in karaoke. I love their traditions and I love their wake. So if you're talking about who's going to go, and I was trying to think of, who, maybe the Dubliners, all these great bands, but there was a guy, I'm just thinking of Tommy Condon's restaurant and pub down in Charleston, I'm like, but
yeah.
There's just give me a good Irish singer to, and not any of the sad stuff, no Danny Boy. I want some, rip roaring, happy songs, that everybody's sloshing beers back and forth. Give me that,
Yeah.
So if I had my
I'm
way,
down. I'm down. I like that. I might,
like that.
if I'm not invited, I might crash it.
well, that's the whole point. Everybody's invited. Everybody shows up. Everybody has a good time. Everybody lies about me, because they're all drunk. So he's the greatest guy ever, which we know is not true.
Everybody lies about me.
And the Arab side, if you die in the morning, you're buried in the evening. If you die in the evening, you're buried the next morning. It's quick. Wrap you in a shroud. Everyone cries. Everyone eats. I'm like, God, no. That's too damn depressing. I want an absolute send off. I want a party. I want people arrested. Indecent exposure charges. Somebody steal a fire truck. It's got to be lights out.
Yeah,
I will make sure Jake Roos gets arrested at your wake. I promise.
I will. I don't think Roddy has any trouble believing that's possible.
I'm counting on
it. All right, Roddy. So my question for you, the question that I ask everybody, and I am very curious about this. I know this is one that you and I have not talked about over the years, but what is the worst hotel room that you have ever stayed in?
Worst hotel room. That's a tough one.
Is it tough because there have been many, or is it tough?
Yeah, there have been a lot.
Okay.
there have been some. None are as bad as the one we put Trent Smallwood in, covering the Under Armour All-American game in Orlando.
Oh,
and I can't
it's
even.
Not hard to find a bad one down there.
The words we use to describe that hotel are not. They're not PC at all.
Yeah.
We were worried about. We were worried about him losing his life, but we're also worried about him being violated before he lost his life. This was a sketchy place. So Trent Smallwood gets his credit for the worst UGA sports related hotel stay. For me, I'm trying to remember what city it was. There was one down in it was on the Panhandle. I remember that Florida Panhandle. And it was it was hot, and the air conditioner went off, and it would only blow hot air.
Oh boy!
And they had no other rooms, and it's like you walk in, and it's got a funk to it. Everything's wet. I mean, the bedspread was wet, and there were like 45 different cigarette stains around the sink. I can't remember where that was down there, but I was pretty sure I was going to see a recruit and stayed in the Panhandle for like $30 a night or something like that. It was god awful.
I hope you were going to see a recruit. There wasn't any other reason to be in that hotel room otherwise. Good Lord.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah. You don't want to go stay in a hotel room like that for leisure. Dude, thanks so much for joining us, buddy. We really appreciate it. You got one of the most interesting stories in the business, and really appreciate you. And I know Roos does too, for helping us get into this whole thing.
Yeah. Thank you for everything.
You guys did wonderful. I'm very proud of you. And if I had any inkling or any part of your success, it was microscopic. You guys are badass, and I always looked up to you.
All right, man.
Thanks
Take care, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What did he break, you think?
Oh God, there's no telling, man. That's just what
did he break on us? What did he get us with?
We're over here with our proverbial dicks in our hand, and this guy's over here just.
We're over here literally jaking off.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's just go ahead and jump into that because ever since I've been watching that Uma Thurman over your left shoulder, I had to turn myself around there. I've been thinking about asking you, what is your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie?
Oh, good question for sure, man. Gosh, Pulp Fiction's one of those that really, if it's on TV or you happen to catch it, it doesn't really matter where it is. I'm going to watch it. And I know that's the cliche answer. But it's also true because I did a big thing in college. I took film appreciation my freshman year of college, and you had to like break down a film, and one of the options was Pulp Fiction. And so I sat down and I was determined like the way that I was going to do this and write this thing better than anybody was I was just going to watch the film like 3 times right in a row, which I mean, it's almost a 3-hour film. So I spent one day, I just kind of locked myself in my dorm room. People floated in and out. But I watched Pulp Fiction like 3 times back to back, making notes. And so I would definitely have to, I would probably have to say that I would put Inglourious Bastards in that category as well, though. A great film. Really love that one. And I'm going to maybe do myself a disservice here. I've not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet, and I like it.
I like it a lot.
I'm surprised I haven't.
I've become I'm a big fan of the rewriting history thing of taking like deplorable people, deplorable acts, and kind of finding a way to weave heroes into that. I think it's tremendous. And getting Brad Pitt to do it twice is just unbelievable. I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a whiskey sours scene in that thing where, Leonardo DiCaprio he improvises it. And it's one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a movie, period. But honestly, I go all the way back to, I'm a big Reservoir Dogs guy. Sure. I'm not one of these, like, I just roll around in violence like a dog does a dead carcass, like I'm not like that, but there's something about the raw, meanness and violence of that movie that I'm just like, yes, let's go. Like it fires me up. I like it a lot. Big Reservoir Dogs guy, but I like his new stuff a lot, man. I like his new stuff so much. And I've never been like a geeking out on Quentin Tarantino guy. Pulp Fiction is solid. It's very good. It's not my favorite. I do like it a lot. But
infinitely quotable, though. Infinitely,
yeah,
quotable.
Very much so.
And I mean, it
very
probably, I mean, got to be what, like top 10 most quotable films of all time, I would say. It has to be.
Yeah.
It's just so ubiquitous. It's one of those things that's like Goodfellas or something like that, man. If it's on TV, like everyone's just seen it 1,000 times because of how often it's on television.
Yeah. And obviously, and Django's great. The Kill Bill movies are solid. I mean, they're very good. I mean, I don't want to say anything he's ever done is just solid. Jackie Brown is also another tremendous one, even though, I mean, I don't think he's done anything really that's bad outside of maybe like 4 Rooms or something back in the day. But big Reservoir Dogs guy, probably like it more than most.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like that. I also like that somebody earlier pointed out the fact that I had the poster up behind me and they said Roof's coming to us live from his college dorm room. And I did. Maybe true. I did have a Pulp Fiction poster in my freshman dorm room. It was Jules and Vincent both standing side by side with the guns. And I bought that at the poster sale down at Tate Center at the legendary poster sale that I'm sure a lot of people have been.
I do need to tell my man Dylan Brooks here. Dylan, I don't believe Quentin Tarantino directed From Dusk Till Dawn. He was in it, obviously, and I think he co-produced it, but I'm pretty sure he did not direct that.
I was actually looking up his filmography just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and I couldn't find it. I didn't see that one on there.
Yeah, I mean, but I was looking it up earlier because I knew there was another kind of, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Inglourious Bastards type movie, and obviously that was Django, where you kind of find the rewriting history thing. Django's insane, so good.
It is.
He did write the screenplay though. He did write the screenplay From Dusk Till Dawn, but it was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
There you go. All right, so I'm going to have to ask you, Jake Rowe, because I have not had the luxury of going to Zion National Park What was your favorite part about that trip, man? What'd you get to do? What'd you get to see? And, did you get some good grub while you were out west as well?
My favorite thing about Zion National Park was every single evening when the kids went to bed and I climbed my chunky ass into my bed and looked at my phone until I passed out, usually before 8:30 local. No, it was, listen, my favorite part was how you can't get away from it. Like, you cannot get away from the views. Springdale, Arkansas kind of sits at the mouth of the Zion National Park entrance. And you're just constantly
Utah, Springdale, Utah.
Yeah, not Arkansas. Yeah, I keep saying that. I don't. Is Springdale, Arkansas, the most popular city in the world? Because I've said it 30 times to people. Springdale, Utah, is at the mouth of Zion National Park, and you've just got red mountains like on each side of you at all times. And not only that, you have mule deer walking around like they're pets.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the first thing that happens when I get there, it's night. We fly into Vegas and we can't, my sister-in-law, they have, her and her husband have their little boy and they're flying with us. And we've got our two kids, 8 and 4, that went with us. And so we're not just going to throw them on we got in there plenty of time to get to Zion during the daytime, but we're like, man, we got to take these kids somewhere in Vegas and let them run around a little bit. So we go to this place called Container Park. Phenomenal lingua tacos, a couple of El Pastor tacos for your boy. They're amazing. Handmade tortillas, unbelievable. If you ever go to Vegas, go to Old Vegas Container Park. Pinches tacos is what it's called. I might have just cursed in Spanish on the air. I don't know. But either way, it's amazing. It's really good. So we go there, the kids get to run around and play in that park or whatever. And then we hit the road. And so ultimately, we get into Zion, and I've got all the information to get the door unlocked, and I go to unlock the door, and all I see is just a massive, like 14-point rack, like right in front. And guys, I'm not joking. I mean, it may be more than 14 points. Biggest rack on a deer I've ever seen in my life. And it's standing on the porch. Like, I'm coming around the corner from the side of the house where we parked, and he's sitting right there on the porch. And I'm like, some dummy deer. They like to kind of screw with people is what they like to do. It's cool. And I just like, okay, it's a dummy. It hadn't even moved. So I take a couple more steps, and then it does this. It goes, and I go, oh boy, I am way too close. Like, I'm like 12 feet away from this thing. I said, I am about to get impaled by this.
That's monster. Like when I saw that owl. You remember when I saw the owl out on the porch?
Yeah, that owl. That was the spirit of our friend Quinn.
Adam Quinn. Yeah,
that's right.
Shout out to my buddy Adam Quinn. Just had his first child.
Awesome. He gave birth to it, huh?
He did. He birthed it with his mind.
I swear to God, if you get off on a rabbit trail here, if you'd ask him, so you gave birth to it, and he goes, I did in my own way. Something like that. Yeah, in my own mannerisms.
Absolutely.
I did. No, so the deer were everywhere. It was unbelievable. But my favorite part about it was how you couldn't escape it. Like, it was exhausting. We went like 9-10 miles on the first day, and it was wild. And then, go down all the way down to the end of the park, to the Narrows. Having the children with us, we didn't get to do some of the crazier, more elaborate things you get to do there. But we went up and saw Bryce Canyon, which was an unbelievable experience too. But I'm glad I went. I don't think it's my thing to do very often. Like, I don't. Yeah. I'm still more of a beach bum. I'm still more of like a, toes in the water, ass in the sand type guy. Except,
don't move on vacation, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I thought when I was on vacation, carrying the stuff down to the beach was tough. 27 miles in 4 days is tougher.
So it's like that. It's like that Louis C.K. bit where he says, the vacation for the dad is when he loads all the stuff in the car and then closes the door, and then he walks around from the back to the front, and that's his vacation.
Yeah, that's the extent of the vacation moment right there. I tend to have a pretty good time though. I had a pretty good time out there. Get to spend a lot of time with my wife's family. I do love all those guys. Most of them from most of them live up in the DC area, the ones that we don't get to see very often, and they're a lot of fun. But yeah, it was a cool trip. I definitely would say, even if you're not a big national park out in the wilderness type person, Zion National Park is something you got to see. It looks like you're on a completely different planet. But a lot of fun. All right. Hey, folks, we will be back with you Wednesday night to finish talking about Georgia, Alabama. There is a big game going on this week, and we will talk about it. Sorry, we didn't talk about it tonight for those tuned in to maybe hear us talk about that. I think Georgia's going to win. I will tell you that. I haven't made a pick yet, but I do think Georgia's going to win.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Georgia's going to pull the what is it when the favorite wins? I'm going chalk. Say Georgia's going to win.
Yeah.
But that's the way I look at it, and we'll be back then. We'll have a lot more content for you this week.
Nuts on the table from Jake Rowe.
What else am I supposed to say? Go make a big deal about it. Say some shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, people, go about your nights. Go get you a bowl of ice cream and hit the sack. I love you all. Take care.
Thanks to Roddy again. Really appreciate him coming on.
And thanks to Roddy. He came on and he barked after dark, and we appreciate that as well. Y'all take care. Roof.
Woof, woof.
Roof.